meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Uri?
Yes.
And I am also present. I have the first public hearing meeting for May 13th, 2025. Elected officials present, the trustees, Abraham Lynch, Uri, and Fiscal Officer Kish. Also in attendance, L. Ashley, G. Lynch, K. Presto, S. DeMarco, D. DeMarco, D. Lashinsky, and B. Misley. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 4929.27b, the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township are holding this public meeting to consider the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC opt-in natural gas aggregation in the township. The public hearing began at 6:03 p.m. Amherst Township currently participates in the NOPEC gas opt-out program. The gas program plan of operation and governance being considered today will add an opt-in provision. The gas opt-in provision provides an additional layer to the program which would enable people who are newly eligible to enroll in the program with a shorter wait time of about 1 to 2 billing cycles, so they don't have to wait months or even years to return to NOPEC in the event that they've left the aggregation and wish to come back. This will be the first of 2 public hearings required on the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC opt-in natural gas aggregation program pursuant to Section 4929.27b of the Ohio Revised Code. NOPEC Relationship Manager Kyla Presto provided an overview of the purpose of NOPEC and the change to the plan of operation and governance for a gas opt-in program being considered by the Board of Township Trustees. Following Kyla's program overview, this public hearing shall provide an opportunity for any interested person to be heard. If you wish to comment, step up to the microphone and state your name, address, and concern. The following individuals made comments in person. D. DeMarco. 5/1/25, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham to adjourn the public hearing at 6:17 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the May 13th, 6 o'clock p.m. public hearing on the gas opt-in with NOPEC?
Okay, we said that was 5-1.
Yes, you
That
did.
was 5-1. I did.
So then, make a motion to approve the minutes as read. Second.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes. And then Chris, for the May 13th public hearing also on the NOPEC gas opt-in, the 7 o'clock p.m. public hearing, since the minutes are pretty much identical other than there were no public comments, I would make a motion to accept the May 13th, 2025, 7 o'clock p.m. public hearing minutes as presented.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
We'll put that away. All right, then we have the regular meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees for May 13th, 2025. The meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. by Lynch. Pledge of the flag. Roll call. Abraham, Lynch, Urick, and Kish were present. Also in attendance, G. Lynch, K. Smarsh, L. Ashley, R. Valentin, K. Presto, D. Lashinsky, J. Pike, and J. Irvin. 5/2/25, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch, to approve and waive the reading of the regular meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2025. All ayes. Trustee Lynch suspended the regular meeting for the NOPEC public hearing at 7:01 p.m. Trustee Lynch returned to the regular meeting at 7:06 p.m. 5/3/25, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch, moved to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as presented with the exception of warrant 13491. All ayes. Fiscal Officer reported still waiting to hear from the State Auditor on the 2022-2023 audit, waiting for the State Auditor to complete their work. Trustee Lynch reminded everyone that the regular meeting will be stopped at 7:30 p.m. for a bid opening for Rustic Hill Lane concrete replacement project. Trustee Lynch noted that 2 public hearings were held regarding the NOPEC opt-in gas aggregation program. 5/4/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, approving the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC opt-in gas aggregation program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing an opt-in gas aggregation program as a NOPEC member and declaring an emergency. Roll call, all ayes. Under correspondence, Otarma/HCA property appraisals. 4/8/25, Rob Duncan email regarding political subdivision fact sheet and survey. 5/27/25, a 7:30 PM public hearing regarding the proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map, approximately 31.41 acres, parcel 05000480000015, located at 45850 Telegraph Road, and 05000480000059, located at 45706 Telegraph Road, owned by Slyman Barbara J. Trustee and 5S Incorporated and Bucks Benjamin T. Trustee, respectively. 10/25, 7:30 PM, public hearings regarding modification of settlement agreement, Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC et al. Versus the Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals.
Right, correct.
Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas, case number 20CV200199. Under reports, new zoning inspector Ryan Valentin had nothing to report, but provided information for the month of April. There were 15 total permits, 2 fence, 3 accessory buildings, 1 patio, 1 pool, 1 deck, and 7 new constructions. Under roads, parks, and cemeteries, all regular maintenance, full grass cutting, no update on the delivery date for the new plowed/dump truck. Dumpster days went well and was very busy. Rumpke was very accommodating by providing additional dumpsters to handle the higher than normal demand. Under Township Administrator, Linda reported concerns that are coming in for parking on Hidden Tree Lane specifically. AED decision needs to be made. Ohio Rebel softball contract would like to be transferred to the Amherst Softball Association. Under complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Excuse me. 5/5/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, moved per ORC 505.87 to issue a public notice for removal of debris and vegetation at 323 Deepwood, 8935 Oberlin Road, and 9063 Levitt Road. All ayes. 5/6/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, moved to suspend the regular meeting for the bid opening at 7:35 PM. All ayes. 5/7/25, motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, to return to the regular meeting at 7:41 PM. All ayes. Trustee Uhrig noted that the solid waste management policy meeting was held today. There is going to be an ag tire collection on September 25th, 2025. EPA grant was turned down for a new shred truck. Landfill has 15 years of life. Under new business, 5/8/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, move for the approval of Ohio Edison street lighting request information agreement to install 9 HPS Colonial Post Top 9500I lights, 100 watt and associated equipment on western portion of Sandstone Parkway, which is the Phase 2 commercial area. All ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, May 27th at 7 PM at the Amherst Township Hall. 5/9/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, moved to enter into executive session per Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G3 to confer with Assistant Prosecuting Attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action, and RC Section 121.22G8 to consider confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, and financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance under the provisions of RC Chapter 715 JED statute and 5709.77 TIF statute regarding operation of a nursing home within a planned development district and modification of the Sandstone Planned Development District Court Settlement Agreement. All ayes. 5/10/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, to return from both executive sessions at 8:40 PM. All ayes. 5/11/25, a motion by Uhrig, seconded by Abraham. I'm guessing that is to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Adjourn.
And I'm sure that it was at 8:41.
You, 0507, I seconded that motion by Lynch.
Mr. Uhrig says he seconded it.
0507, to return to the meeting? To return? You seconded the one for the bid opening, to open it. to
Okay.
recess, and then I
So-
have that I seconded the one to come back to the regular meeting.
Okay,
That's I have, but you know, you were in there.
I was in there.
How about,
Well, I was just thinking because you had my name down, but you corrected me. Okay?
David, you had also indicated for motion number 5625. Did you second that?
No, that
No,
was Abraham.
that was Abraham, recess. Lynch, Abraham, and then Lynch, Eric.
And what's 57?
Is Lynch, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick,
Yeah.
Okay.
to return to the regular meeting. And then 511 is a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham, to adjourn the meeting at 8:41 PM, and it was all ayes.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I have a motion then to approve the May 13th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as corrected?
So move.
Second?
Urick,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
I think we're all sympathetic here. Okay, so then we have financials, and I do not have a separate, well, first let's go over the payment listing. If you remember last month, or last meeting, we added a late bill, so that is showing on here. That was that 15,000 for crack ceiling. So that is showing up on this roundabout. I know we're going to have to talk about Otarma during correspondence. I did process that check thinking, because of conversations that we had had, that it was, since we increased it last year, we probably wouldn't this year.
Right.
Even if we do decide that we're increasing it, I'll just pull that
Right.
check and do it again next month. So I just
Well,
want-
and maybe after that, Chris, because Otarma said they were under contract with HCA to come through and reappraise all of our properties, particularly those above $50,000. Well, they've said between May and August, because they're going through a lot of different.
They were
communities.
scheduled with Linda, and they never showed up,
Oh, see,
and they
that's-
never called. So I've been dealing with the guy at Otarma, saying, your company's not very professional.
Okay, well, I'm
So-
glad you did let them know that, hey, they scheduled a meeting and didn't show up, because it's hard to, without that data, to say, do we
Right.
make a change?
Right, and then if we ever do get our new truck, that,
Right, and
again,
that'll
will
happen,
also go
right.
in there.
Yeah.
So that was the payments. I didn't know if anybody had any questions on that. Our year-to-date revenue, are you ready, David?
Yeah, just go ahead.
$793,757.77. $793,757.77.
Play that number in the water, yeah.
Our expenditures are $529,226.20. I also have the credit card bill, but I do not have your separate sheet breaking it out because I'm still working with the bank.
Okay,
They are saying we owe them $700 for your room, which I'm like, it was credited, and then it was, so their balance is entirely different than what the actual balance is. So I've got it here, if anybody wants to look at it, you can see I have the receipts, and I am paying the actual amount.
just what you know we
Yes,
owe. not
of
what
what
the bank
I know the
does.
balance to be, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, as long as the bank doesn't charge any finance fees.
Well,
or
they are, and
late
I will
fees,
try and get that taken care of as well.
because they've got their money.
So I do
Just
have,
right
so that would be, so I do need the April, the financials, and then the April credit card.
Okay. But you want to, so we need to approve the credit card, and we'll get later the sheet to sign it then?
Yeah, I can run one up, it's not going to be,
Okay.
because they're, like I said, their numbers were different.
Yeah, then I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payments, the items on the payment listing as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
I'll second that.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
And the number on that, Chris?
That is 515.
15?
Yes, 51525.
I'm going to make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy, and the card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
And then I'm assuming, Chris, you still haven't heard anything from the auditor?
I have not. I have that in my, at the end of my report. I'm still waiting to hear back from them. I know they started working with the county on theirs, and I'm sure that's taking up a big amount of time.
Oh,
but-
yeah, that'll be much larger than ours.
Yeah, but the thing that's bad, and I was talking with Georgianne about it this afternoon, was this is for 22-23 that we're trying to get finished. And then next January, they're going to start
Right,
24,
25,
25.
right.
So I'm going to go right from one into another one. The other one that I sent to all of you was Otarma. I mentioned that there's a check in there. We received our annual renewal notice from them. And I emailed you all saying that I assumed I shouldn't assume. I thought we wouldn't be increasing because we went from 6 million to 7 million last year. And for the other reasons that Neil mentioned, until we find out when they do their appraisal and we get our truck, I just listed in the minutes the costs. An additional million would be $955. Additional, going up to 9 million would be 1,850, and going up to 10 million would be 2,744 on top of the $35,948 that we are paying them.
Yeah,
So-
and we'll probably make the adjustments is when we get, we've got the new plow truck due in this year, and it's, let's see, I know it was 38 months lead time. I'd have to look at their original projected date for the tanker truck. And I'll have to check the lease agreement on that also, since we lease it back. But, that's a $1.3 million vehicle, so, once that comes in, we may make some adjustments for that too.
That's what I figured. I'm working on the budget for next year. It's in there.
Good, okay. All right, anything else, Chris?
That is all I have.
All right, we have, I'm going to welcome our one person in the audience today. It looks like a slow meeting. Did you have anything to bring before the trustees? Okay. We're going to move on to correspondence. We already talked about Otarma and their contract with HCA for reappraisal of properties and equipment that are in excess of $50,000. I met with Rob Duncan from Lorraine County Community Development on May 14th to complete that fact sheet survey that was sent out to all the political subdivisions. The trustees saw what I had filled out up to that point, didn't have any concerns and thought it was okay, and asked that I just meet with him separately versus the three of us. The remaining questions were more, as Rob indicated, he was going to do an interview, and it seems like they were focused on what type of economic development's going on in the township now and what the township's appetite was for different types of development, and particularly those that are job producing or even housing. I did make it clear to them, I showed what the non-permitted uses were in our zoning, and that we aren't interested in any type of smokestack industry or industries that put off obnoxious smells and vibrations and noise. And we kind of spell that out in our zoning, also in our comprehensive plan. So figured since I was the only one there, he was hearing what I said, and I don't know what he's ultimately going to do with that. We also have today, so if I get too far along, stop me at 7:30 p.m. We do have the public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map of approximately 31.41 acres. I'm not going to read all the detail on that, but this is up on just east of State Route 58 on the north side of State Route 113. We also will, on June 10th, we will have a public hearing regarding the modification of the settlement agreement that was titled Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC et al. Versus Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals et al. That's Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas, case number 20 CV 200199. So that'll be at our next meeting on June 10th. With that, I'm going to move on to reports. There is, if anyone wants to attend, we do have our next quarterly meeting of the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District. Will be at 11 a.m. on July 16th at the Amherst Fire Station. No one here from the Sheriff's Department. Zoning Inspector Ryan Valentin. You have anything to report, Ryan?
Nothing to report.
There are several hearings before the Board of Zoning Appeals. I don't have those listed here, but I'm sure you'll see those. You've seen those public notices go out already. For Road, Parks, and Cemetery, Superintendent Marsh indicated he would not be here this evening.
He did mention to me that all regular maintenance is going on, full grass cutting season, roadside cutting, cemeteries, parks, and he still had no update on the delivery date for the new plow dump truck, because he did talk to the gentleman, I believe, Friday, and he was going to call him back either today or tomorrow.
Okay, and I know Linda's trying to work out the details on that the lease purchase, because Mr. Lewis from R&R Trucking sent a confusing email like we've got to go to Glen Hill for the outfitting of the truck, and that wasn't the agreement right from the start. Every document we have from him shows us they provided the terms, it's them complete. The bid through ODOT was complete, outfitted with that truck. An interesting thing for the trustees, I tried to see what that is, a 2024 vehicle. The current ODOT bid price on that for just the cab and the chassis increased from $128,000 to just under, a hair under $153,000. Now, I didn't go through all of the options for outfitting the truck because they've got a long list on that bid, and I would have had to pull the one from last year that we purchased versus this one and do a total. And you know, I was full bore into getting prepared for this meeting, but I was pretty surprised at how much more just the cab and chassis went up.
Yes.
So it's we were fortunate to get that in at the time we did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll handle here shortly. We've got Linda, as you're aware, has been working on the update the Ohio Revised Code, a result of House Bill 47 and House Bill 315 that requires us to provide AEDs for all of the organized athletic competitions. It also includes cheerleading, but we don't have that. That occurs in our parks and at our facility across the street here, which is predominantly the Junior Comets football group. I have no report for Lorco. As far as the Phase 2 stormwater report, you don't have copies today. I'm not sure if the email was sent to you, but I just received today, after we had printed all of the documents, there were 2 violation notices issued for the Sandstone development. Both of them are with two of the newer retention basins that you see out there. One which is the same one we were hit with when we went through the expansion of our township hall. They want skimmers installed on the basins to the outlets so that you're just skimming the clear water off the top and allowing the sediment to go to the bottom. And then they had one of the catch basins out there did not have the silt socks going around it, so they were also getting some of the erosion was going directly into the catch basin and entering into a tributary to Beaver Creek. So those are the items that they've got to take care of, and they will respond directly to the county in regards to the erosion and sediment control rules. As far as complaints here, we've got the ones open. It's, as far as the, well, this one here, we've already responded. So the one in terms of the trash flying out of recycled bins and the resident asking that it be bagged, at the last meeting of the consortium, both Kimball and Rumpke indicated with their new equipment that's not going to happen. So the resident's been notified of that. The State Route 113 roadside ditches, ODOT has indicated they will be taking care of that late spring or early summer, so I'm just going to leave that on till we see those ditches have been cleared. David, as far as the
That
street light,
one for 6709 Hidden Valley, I believe that's all taken care of. That could come off.
okay,
Which one is that?
Number 2?
one that was, yeah, it's at 6709 Hidden, yeah, Carol Sheaver,
That can come off?
that can come off.
It's 7:30.
So that one and also the number 3 with Mr. Payne, both of those will come off. The one that's left on, I believe that was Susan Moore, but S. Moore. I've let her know what ODOT's indicated on that. I'm sure she'll see it before we do.
It is 7:30. It's 7:30.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Okay, we're going to recess the regular meeting to enter into a public hearing. This public hearing involves a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map that was initiated by the applicant, Gray Fox Capital of 6161 Oak Tree Boulevard, Suite 260, Independence, Ohio, zip code 44131, and the property owners Barbara J. Slyman, trustee, and 5S Incorporated, represented by Paul Slyman. The amendment pertains to the following: rezone approximately 31.41 acres, consisting of permanent parcel number 05000480000015, located at 45850 Telegraph Road, and 05000480000059, located at 45706 Telegraph Road, on the north side of Telegraph Road, which is State Route 113, approximately 580 feet east of the intersection of State Route 58, State Route 113, from the present classification of a mixture of residential, agricultural, RAG, and general business, GB1, to the proposed classification of R1 CON, which is low-density residential conservation development. Conservation development promotes economical and efficient use of land and public services, preserves to the greatest extent possible the existing landscape features, and encourages the flexible spacing of lots and buildings to preserve the natural features of the site while providing readily accessible green space. The area to be rezoned consists of approximately 31.41 acres with over 750 feet of frontage on the north side of State Route 113/Telegraph Road. Approximately 17.5 acres are currently wooded. 13.5 acres are clear of vegetation, have been used as a concrete fill and storage area. And the 0.41 acres at 45706 Telegraph Road includes an accessory structure. A residential home previously occupied the property at 45706 Telegraph, but was demolished in early 2020. A tributary to the east branch of Beaver Creek crosses the northern portion of the property. If the zoning map amendment is granted, it is the applicant's intention to construct 62 single-family structures on 19 acres with a typical lot size of 60 feet wide and 150 feet deep. A 1.24 acre wet detention basin will be included for stormwater management and environmental aesthetics, and approximately 12 acres of wooded areas will be conserved on the northern portion of the property and as a peripheral buffer. A paved walking trail will be constructed within the northern wooded area for recreational use. The 0.41 acre parcel at 45706 Telegraph, currently zoned GB1 General Business, was not included within the applicant's zoning map amendment request. This lot is non-conforming for GB1 use. It is also non-conforming for RAG residential agricultural use, which is the predominant land use immediately to the east. The Zoning Commission included this property as part of the R1 Conservation Map Amendment, so it would become a conforming use, allowing the property owner to reconstruct a residential home on the property. The properties to the east are zoned residential agricultural RAG, and the properties to the north, south, and west are zoned general business GB1. The proposed development is currently referred to as the Woods at Fox Hollow. To meet the Lorraine County subdivision regulations requiring at least 2 ingress-egress access points for a development with more than 50 homes, 2 24-foot wide lanes that connect to State Route 113 with a 10-foot landscape island between them will be provided. An approximate 13-foot setback from the existing road right-of-way would be provided in the event that a future turn lane is required. A traffic study will be performed by the applicant if the zoning map amendment is approved. The total estimated property value increase will be $21.7 million at a conservative estimate of $350,000 per home. The development is located entirely within Amherst Exempted Village School District, and the school should expect an estimated 23 additional students in the pre-kindergarten through 12th grade based upon an average of 0.37 students per unit. For the attached letter dated March 19, 2025 from the Lorraine County Community Development Department staff to the Lorraine County Planning Commission, the staff recommended to disapprove the amendment along with several specific considerations. For the attached letter dated March 28, 2025 from Lorraine County Community Development Department, Lorraine County Planning Commission met on Thursday, March 27, 2025, and voted to disapprove the proposed amendment to the zoning resolution with several considerations. The Amherst Township Zoning Commission held a public hearing on April 1, 2025 at the Amherst Township Hall and continued the public hearing on May 6, 2025. For a May 8, 2025 letter from Zoning Commission Chairperson, Mr. Lonnie Dillon, the Zoning Commission approved the requested amendment to the Amherst Township Zoning Resolution map, the roll call being 5-0. The various correspondence are available and may be read for the public record. This public hearing shall provide an opportunity for any interested person to be heard for Ohio Revised Code Section 519.12 Division H within 20 days after the public hearing. The trustee shall either adopt or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission or adopt some modification thereof. In the event the trustees adopt an amendment of the zoning resolution, the amendment effective date will be 30 days hence from such adoption. In the event the trustees elect to overrule or modify the recommendation of the Zoning Commission, the majority vote of the board shall be required. Wherein the trustees fail to obtain a majority vote, the recommendation of the Zoning Commission shall be considered as approved with an effective date of any amendment of the zoning resolution occurring 30 days hence from the date of this public hearing. So at this time, I'm going to ask if there's anyone here from the public that wishes to comment. They need to state their name and address. Is there anyone here for this public hearing? Seeing no hands, I'll open up for...
That guy.
Oh,
I don't need a speaker, I can speak loud enough. Larry Esper.
no, you...
She went up here.
Yeah. Yeah, what we need is the microphone captures it for the video for the general public.
Actually, I have questions
Okay.
about the proposed plan of this
Yeah,
this
Larry,
building. I'm Larry Esper.
We know who you are. Yeah, give your name and where you live.
I live at 510 West 16th Street in Elyria, but I own a home on Oberlin Road, 8274. Also have a brewery on 58. I would like to know if it's a PDD development, as we have the sandstone development, and if it is, isn't it supposed to be 600 acres? Have you changed your wording in your ordinances to have less than 600 acres for a PDD? Because this has less than an acre, and it has less than 125 foot frontage for the houses.
Yeah, this is not the planned development district that requires 600 acres. This is a conservation development, and the minimum acreage required for conservation development is 15 acres. This particular one is just under 32 acres. What the applicant, and it's currently zoned, part of it's general business, and part of it is residential agriculture. So the portion fronting 113 is general business, and the back land is zoned residential agriculture, which would be the 1 acre lots with 125-foot frontage. So what the applicant's asking for with the conservation development, they conserve the wooded area to the north, locate the homes on the area that's currently kind of bare vegetation, wooded area. So they're only using, I think it was 19 acres of the total 32 that they'd actually develop and maintain the woods. Now, they are going to take down some of the woods, but some of that was at the request during the initial public hearing before the zoning commission. When they first presented this to the township, they had 50-foot wide lots by 150, and they varied from 130 to 150 foot deep. And we asked for the larger lots because they did indicate they wanted to differentiate their homes from what's going on in sandstone for the single family, because they intend on having 3-car garages versus the 2-car garages. Well, you can imagine if they put that on a narrower property, it's got to be longer homes, thus the 150 foot deep, which is also deeper than sandstone. So they agreed to go with the 60 foot, but that kind of pushes them further to the north, which causes some of the wooded area to come down. They also had to make adjustments because since they were asking for more than 50 homes, the county subdivision regulations require an additional mode of ingress or egress. They attempted to go to State Route 58, but ODOT, for where they first want to go through, wasn't willing to have another entry point on 58, and to get it further to the north would have required them to acquire another property from a different property owner, and you can imagine how complicated that gets when somebody knows you need another mode of ingress and egress. The value of their property just went up significantly. So the county did agree when the applicant came through with the proposal of what they term a boulevard, 2 24-foot wide points, one in, one out, and a 10-foot landscape buffer in between, that the county said that would be acceptable. They still have to go through a formal variance process at the county subdivision point, but the county's already indicated that's probably going to be approved, and they will most likely, as a result of what they've learned from this development, change their county subdivision regulation to allow this type of 2 modes of ingress egress that really are relatively close. But if you think about it, it's a more efficient use of the property. So that's how they're able to get this in. It's not the PDD that the developers of Sandstone applied for.
One more question. I thought that they would try to go north through Fiore's property into the sandstone development into the roundabout.
That could have happened too. As a matter of fact, David had even brought that up, encouraging that. But again, you get into that difficulty when somebody else owns that property. You can't force them. Without eminent domain, you can't force that, and we are not in the business of taking people's property.
Correct.
To do
My
that.
concern is my driveway going to become an egress for sandstone? Is it going to become an egress for this thing coming from the south?
It's not. This isn't going to come in through ESB Brewery. As far as sandstone, you've seen the plans there.
But there's like a little exit on the roundabout to the south, and he bought 3 acres that hook at the corner of my driveway. Is he going to bring a road down, because they haven't showed you plans for that yet, and back into their, a road along the top of Fiore's property into the sandstone development for
Yeah,
another
they-
egress?
They don't have that yet. You would probably hear if Fior sells any of their property, and I don't have a clear picture in my mind of the map, but I thought that stub coming off the roundabout, doesn't it go to the property owned by the county that was the former Visitors Bureau?
It's behind the Visitors Bureau, and it extends all the way to about 12 foot onto my property, or at the edge of the driveway. I own half the driveway. So it covers the entire width of the driveway between myself and the Visitors Bureau, and then it goes back to the end of the 1,500 foot for the general business that hooks into the southwest side of the houses.
Okay. Georgianne, you don't have, can you call up that section of the auditor's website where it shows, I think it has it ghosted in right now. Okay, you think it might be in the PowerPoint presentation? Well, now go to the north of the auditor's website.
Oh,
Keep going.
That's European sandstone.
Can I point to where I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Stop right there. From the area, my driveway's right there. At the very end of my driveway where my dumpster is, we bought all the property that goes all the way over to here.
right.
So,
Who is he?
Oster, they call themselves Perpetual Development.
Okay, okay.
He bought 2 parcels there from Greg Fior, David. That was, way back when.
I'm trying to figure out if they're thinking about putting the road this way into this development over here, so we need some traffic.
Yeah. Georgianne, can you take off the aerial, because I know it shows it on the auditor's website where that roadway is. And is the pointer
Thank
there
you.
for Larry?
Ooh, she got a stick to it.
Yes, Larry Esper, you've met him before. He owns ESP Brewing up on 58. Yeah, see if you take the aerial off, if it'll show. It's just not looking right. I'm not going to make it restart, but I know it shows it on the auditor's website. If we get where the new nursing home's going in too, Larry, you might be able to see it. I think that's what Georgianne's trying to get to.
Okay.
Okay, if you can make it larger. There you see the roundabout.
They saying the roundabout's farther over this way, and the original picture showed it ending right here. So it really looks like this road they're building
More to
is...
your left. Gary. That was moved more to the
It was
left.
moved to the south at the request of ODOT.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking they're going to have access into here.
I'm not aware of any of that. Have you had any discussion on that, Larry?
Nobody's approached me, but if they do, I have to move the dumpster and put another pad in and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm.
It sounds like it'd be a great idea to ease the traffic that's going to be coming onto Oberlin Road and ease the
Well-
traffic that's going to be coming onto Sandstone Boulevard from the,
You still
The
got one
houses.
outlet on 58. It's still going to be routing all the traffic to one outlet.
right, but you'd
Need
be a lot
another
shorter,
outlet.
it'd be
One
a
or two
shorter
more
drive.
outlets to the south, to southwest, to bleed off some of that traffic. And from their standpoint, you give them more accesses, then their streets can be a little bit longer. They run into problems with when they put a street in, or and you've got 50 homes, more than 50 homes, and it's got an outlet, then one outlet. It's like a dead-end street. You need to have another outlet.
Yeah, if something happens, you're going to be in trouble when you're trying to everybody out.
That's still, even if they put something off to the right rather than have that road going to the left, it still has one entrance exit point there on 58.
Right. Right, this
Yeah,
parcel is the
shows
one he
two
bought,
parcels.
like this one right here.
Where is the parcel we're rezoning? Can you put that up? Is that the one underneath it?
This is the one
Yeah.
that they're zoning,
You see,
Right.
in reality, you're only one lot away.
one lot away, right
You're
to
one lot
Greg's.
away from
Yeah, but it's-
another one.
Yeah, but the thing is, you see that, show the lot that Fior owns,
It's this one,
that one.
correct.
So there's no way to get through there without buying that.
And he ain't selling.
He ain't selling, so, and that's where his business is. And we are not in the business of taking people's property. So with those constraints, we have to do the best with what reality is. Okay?
Well, wouldn't it make sense if there was more thoroughfares through there?
Well, if you think it makes more sense for the government to control everything, well, some people might say yes, but that's not my position. Those are private property owners, and they've got rights, and so we aren't in the business of taking property. There you're seeing the overhead there with the Fior property, and you see the structure there, you see the vehicles for the people that work back there.
So this 15 is the one that we're talking about right now, the one below that blue line.
Right. Yeah, so those woods there, Larry, are going to stay wooded. Now, a portion, if you move to the south, a portion of the woods will come down. And there you see the open area that was a fill area and storage area. So that's where the homes are going to go. But Georgiana, if you can move over to the west and just move your pointer, nope. Put the visual, move the visual now a little bit to the south. Nope, the south. Okay, now take your pointer over to the west along the property line border. Okay, right where you got your property, the pointer right now, that's about the end of the rear lot. So if you draw that going from west to east, Georgianne, yes, that's about where the development will end. So you see those wooded areas will come down, and we'll get to that shortly. And some of that was because of the request for the wider lots and the larger homes. I realize that's good news, bad news. There are going to be higher end homes. They'll be differentiated from the single family homes that are being constructed at Sandstone. The negative, though, is the township has longer streets to maintain and longer stormwater to maintain. What they were attempting to do was get an access point on 58, but they ran into the same difficulty. If they got too close to the intersection of State Route 113, ODOT was not going to be accepting of that, and to go any further to the north was just finding a property owner that was willing to sell property or provide an easement at reasonable cost. And that didn't work out. So this is the development that the public hearing's on today, and it's already been mirrored. There's a mirror image here also which changed. The developer originally wanted their access point, it would have been further to the west. In this case, it would be going up because north, that's not showing north. North is to the right here. But they flipped it over to accommodate, which made more sense that ODOT wanted the entryway further away from the intersection of State Route 58 and State Route 113. And then the township, one of the other things that caused us to lose more of the wooded area, pushing this property further to the north, is we asked for a reservation of 12 to 13 feet along Telegraph Road so that in the future, as traffic increases, because, you know, development occurs outside our township too, which brings added traffic, that a turn lanes could be added if 113 gets widened there, so that you could minimize the motor vehicle incidents at that point. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Showing the original. So there's what was originally shown. Still, this included the 60-foot lots, but it had the entryway up to the west. And then if you show the current one this is the one that we're considering today after it's gone through reviews by ODOT. Okay?
All right.
So you're just going to have the wooded buffer, and for any of these people that visit your business establishment, they're going to have to drive around the block or walk through, because we did talk about even the road, the walking path connector to the commercial end. But that wasn't something, again, it's the same thing, since that commercial end's not all developed, is where would you put it? So that's really going to be on the homeowners association in the future. But I can assure you, the people that eventually move in here, if they find a business that they want to get to, they're going to create their own walking path through those woods. It may not be paved, but they will find a way to get through versus driving their vehicles all the way around. Okay?
Did you get all your questions answered?
I definitely did.
Okay, thank you.
The real thing is, are you going to be able to handle all the additional business?
I hired a brewer,
Oh,
my
good.
stepdaughter, and she's kicking butt. We got a new one out there that's a ube milkshake something, and it's they're going crazy over
I'll
it.
stick with the Chicky Blondie.
Got lots of that. Thank you very, very much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Okay, well, at this point then, with no other public comment, I'm going to open it up to the trustees. David, any comment?
I have a lot of concern about that fill, the section that's been filled, and I just don't see this concept as being the best interest of the property, and I don't see it as being in the best interest of the future property owners. I know we've had an experience with another section that had fill in it, and it added cost, and whatnot.
which other one was that, David?
that was at the corner of
Oberlin
Oberlin
Road.
Road and Middle Ridge.
That wasn't a development, though. That was an individual property owner, correct?
That was split off lots, and it was an area that had fill in it.
Of an individual property owner.
It's land and it's fill land.
Well, the
Who
point
owns
is-
it, whether it's an individual property owner, whether it's a conglomeration, the ownership isn't the point. The point is the condition of the property, Neil. The condition of the property is not good. In my mind, it's not a good place to put homes. It's just not. I wouldn't want to build a home on fill, and it's going to entail, at minimum, some kind of footers, whatnot, and there's still going to be settling and whatnot. I cannot agree with rezoning for residential, to put houses on that fill. I cannot. You know, right now, it's zoned in the front, general business. Fine, you might be able to find a business there that fill area could be used, I think, safely for, parking, whatnot. I just can't see, though, turning that into residential. I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems in the future. And, some of the street goes over that fill. There'll be problems with the streets in the future. I just cannot see that as being the best use for the property. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel, Neil.
That's okay, you can feel any way you want. I guess my point is, David, and I should have let you finish, is that the differentiation between the one that was on Oberlin Road, and they ultimately did build their home, it just added more cost because they found out, since they wanted to put the basement in, is that the large concrete pieces had to be removed. And when you're an individual property owner, you tend not to do the same due diligence that a developer's going to do. And the developer's already aware of the concrete fill area. They are intending to do their own core samples. If they determine that it can't be built, that's just not going to happen. So whether it's individual properties or whether it's a business, somebody's got to deal with the area there that was used as fill. It's just, again, that's the difference. When you're putting in 62 homes versus one home, you're probably going to be a little bit more cautionary, and you have the financial depth to do your due diligence that individual property owners they may evaluate that and take the risk. I'm not going to pay for core samples and engineering and drilling. I'm just going to go ahead, and I bought this lot, looks nice, I'm going to build a home on it.
It seems like you're going to a lot of effort on an if. Going to a lot of effort on an if. These plans are getting more and more exact.
Well, again, our position here is the zoning. That's up to the property owner. They've been fully made aware of what's there. It's up to them to do the due diligence. And if we don't rezone this, I don't see the difference between whether you put a business there or whether you put a residential home there. There is fill there. So when you mention the best use of the property, what's the best use of the property?
Well, considering you've got a fill area,
Don't tell me you're going to suggest we use this as a junkyard with fill. I won't accept that.
a junkyard with fill. No.
Not gonna
One
be
of
used for more
the
demolition
uses
debris.
I could think of would be, parking, something that would entail parking. You could put the parking there. That's one. Second, thing would be some kind of whatever, some kind of structures that could handle settling.
Do you know how deep the fill is?
Some places over 10 feet, I believe.
Okay, do you know what the size of the fill is?
As far as what?
Well,
No, I don't have
broken down the
measurements on
size
the
of
pieces.
57s, 304s?
disrupted
Are
pro-
they 4x4 slabs?
No, it's various sizes. It's filled. It's disrupted property, disrupted land, and it takes a while for it to settle. It takes years for this to
When was
settle
the
there.
last fill put in there?
It's been a while.
What's
It's
a
been
while? How many years?
I don't know, Neil. I don't have it down to the exact date.
Well, I'm just curious. You just said it takes so long for things to settle, so I assume you'd know how long it's
It
been.
can take 100
And
years,
my next
Neil.
question was going to be,
It
how
can
long
take
does it to
100
settle?
years, Neil.
Really?
It can take a long time for ground to settle once it's been disturbed.
Okay.
But anyway,
Anything else?
nitpicking, I think that,
No, I'm just asking questions. I have a right to ask questions.
yes, you do,
So,
but it does take time. I just can't see it as,
okay. Anything else?
that, and I think it's proximity to the general business district. I think that's going to compact it to, I don't think that makes it the most desirable piece right there. So I just, I can't say I'm in favor of this.
Okay. All right, Denny, any comments?
No, no
Okay.
comment.
Well, I'm just going to say I would have preferred that there be another ingress or egress going to 58 or to Sandstone. But I also know you have to be practical in terms of the constraints. And the property owner had looked at alternatives and they just didn't work. In terms of being in the vicinity of general business, anybody that moves in there is going to know the lay of the land. So that means the individual made that choice. And I think putting this particular development in acts as a buffer now between the general business area that's going to surround this and the larger lots that are immediately to the east of existing residential. We also know, since we expect that the county will not require a stub street, and even the developer in their conversations with the county, that appears to be the case, because we also know that to the east, those property owners own larger lots, but they're most likely not going to sell off their backland. Once this comes in, short of tearing down a residential home, you've eliminated any access to that backland. So now that back area is going to be whatever those property owners decide they want it to be for residential use. A good part of it is currently wooded, so I imagine it's going to stay wooded. I like the wooded area that goes immediately to the north with the pathway going through there for the residents. I really think this is going to be a very nice development. They definitely, to meet the current stormwater requirements, they're going to have a wet detention basin there that will improve the quality of the water. That's going to be outlet to the tributary to Beaver Creek. So I think, and you're going to have seclusion back there for these individuals with the one point of access there. So we estimated here in terms of the financials just under $22 million. I expect it's going to be higher than that because we're seeing already back here just in Sandstone, you've got now the homes going in excess of $400,000. The last one just sold at $510,000. And these are going to be larger homes here. If we look at it in terms of, assuming the county doesn't TIF anything, and I certainly hope they don't, we certainly haven't asked for anything, that even at $350,000 per home, this will bring in annually for Amherst exempted village schools over $212,000. For the township, it'll be just under $34,000. And if you look at it in terms of the proportion of the 23 students, that's $9,243 per year per additional student. So to me, this makes a much better use of the land, because if you look at it now, how much are we earning on that property, David? Very little.
Neil,
So-
it's not the mathematics, it's the usability of the land is what I'm arguing. We can't even get to this point because we can't get past the first point. The first point is, can you build on it? No, not really. It'd be nice, yeah, it'd be nice if you could, but you got a big old fill hole there, and it's gonna impact the foundation of those homes, and that's my feeling, and I don't think this
Well,
is
that's
a good
okay.
idea. This isn't a good idea.
That's
You're gonna have unstable foundations.
Well,
If you want to, you guys go that way, but I can't, I cannot support this for that. I brought that up numerous times. I don't know how many times they were before the zoning commission, at least twice. At least twice, I brought up to them, I don't like that fill. That fill's not a good idea. If that's where you want to put the bulk of your, not the bulk, but if that's where you want to put your your residential lots right on top of that? You know, and even from a pragmatic point, it's a township, do we want a road that's been built on fill like that? I'm telling you, my gut reaction, there's gonna be problems, if not now, 10, 15 years from now.
Okay, well,
We'll see. If we're still around, we'll see who's right.
I plan on being around, so I'm gonna put a reminder on my calendar.
I don't know, Neil. Life is a day-to-day thing, Neil.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway,
I appreciate the position,
Anyway,
David,
but,
but this has been explained to, the Gray Fox Capital, which currently has the option to purchase this property. It's been explained during the public hearings. It was explained by the current property owner, what's there, and they are going to employ the appropriate construction engineers and to do their due diligence to determine where that fill is and if there are any voids there that will cause any types of settlement. You know, it's right now, unless you were there and observed when the fill was put in, you don't know what's in there. So without doing the core samples, you're making
No,
a
you
lot of
don't.
assumptions right now,
you don't. Just that it was a hole and it does have fill.
okay?
That you don't know. Make it. I don't know what you could find.
Okay, but our responsibility here is the zoning. And that area right now, the front portion, that's the southern portion on 113 is zoned general business. The northern portion is zoned residential agricultural, which means people can put up homes there today. And I assume then if somebody came in and wanted to put in a home on 1 acre, you'd have the same objection?
Yes, I would have an objection of taking that out of general business.
So,
Taking that out of general business right there because you've got that fill.
but how about the area that's zoned residential? That was my question. Would you object to homes being constructed there today?
That's residential, it's what's allowed there, Neil. That's what's allowed.
But, okay, so...
That's what's allowed. Something up there I couldn't complain about like I could on the bottom. The fact is, there's a fill hole
So
there.
you're
There's a
real-
fill hole there, Neil. That's what it is. That's what it is, Neil.
What I'm saying is, that area that's zoned residential, you wouldn't have a problem putting residential there today? So the real issue sounds like it's an issue on this rezoning, not the fill, because that fill is there whether it's zoned...
The fill is in the general business. It's putting homes on
Okay.
a fill, you know. I don't know where you're going, but the point is, the condition of the land, it's not fit for residential in my mind, and something like, it's general business now. It'd probably be a better,
No,
maybe
I
you
don't
could even
have
do.
any comment. I don't have
Better than
any
that.
comment.
David, do you have any other comment
I
besides
know,
the
I do
fill?
not.
Okay. If there's no other comment, then I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing and return to the regular trustee meeting.
You're not gonna vote on this?
We'll vote on it when we get in the regular meeting.
Okay,
I'm just making a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Lynch,
Yes?
Abraham,
Yes.
Urick,
Yes, this is adjourned public hearing.
and that's 5/17/20.
That was Lynch and Abraham, right?
Yep.
Okay, you ready, Chris?
I am.
Okay, well, you do have before you a prepared resolution. This is the Amherst Township resolution regarding the map amendment consideration for the applicant, Gray Fox Capital, and the property owners, Barbara J. Slyman, trustee, and 5S Corporation, to rezone approximately 31.41 acres, consisting of permanent parcel number 05-008-000-015, located at 45850 Telegraph Road, and 0500-048-000-059, located at 45706 Telegraph Road on the north side of Telegraph Road, approximately 580 feet east of the intersection of State Route 58, State Route 113, from the present classification of a mixture of residential, agricultural, and general business to a proposed classification of R1 CON, which is low-density conservation development. And I'm not going to read through all the details here. You've got it all prepared in the resolution in sections 1, 2, and 3, so that'll be my motion.
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Urick.
No.
And the number when you have time, Chris?
51825.
5:25.
18. Yes, sir.
Let me catch up here.
Sure.
Okay, as far as the items under unfinished business that are assigned to specific responsibility, is there anything to bring before the board?
No.
David?
I have nothing more at this time.
Okay, I do have another prepared resolution here. This resolution is to authorize the township administrator to take all actions necessary to acquire and install automated external defibrillators, AEDs, for the use of township recreational facilities, and modify recreational facility lease agreements to identify the AED access process and to share the cost of providing AEDs pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 755.13 and 3701.85. And I'm going to make that motion to bring this to the floor.
I was second.
Okay. I know the board's received multiple correspondence from the Ohio Township Association and Township Administrator Linda Ashley in regards to the AEDs and the need for these. So Linda's unable to be here this evening, but what's put some sort of immediacy to this is, one, we've obviously got the sports team starting up again in the park, and we also have the Ohio Rebels softball they want to turn over the baseball portion to the Amherst Youth Athletic Association. But before we just did that and had another lease agreement, we want to get things clarified as terms of the AED usage and the skill sets expected of some of the coaches there. And as this legislation moved through, there were some changes in that the AEDs only have to be provided when the organized activities are going on. There is some question. It says activities hosted by the township, and we're splitting hairs with legal on what the definition of hosting is. Ultimately, in discussions with our representatives from our Ohio Township Association of Risk Management and Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office, and some of the leadership in a few of the athletic leagues, we've kind of zeroed in the township must provide these AEDs. We currently have one AED that we received through grant funds several years ago, but we're going to need two of them because we have two fields that are actively used by the sports teams. One directly across the street here, though soccer's been there sometimes, is predominantly used by the Amherst Junior Comets Football League, and then obviously the Middle Ridge Road Park, which has soccer, baseball, and softball going on there. So I've included some of this correspondence. I've included also, prior to this in 2017, the Ohio legislature passed what's known as Lindsay's Law. Lindsay's Law also requires training on coaches in terms of dealing with sudden cardiac arrest. If they are an official high school or school-age coach, they have to have some special licensing. That's not necessarily the case. Most of the coaches that are coaching these teams are just volunteers, and so there's a separate section of Lindsay's Law that deal with those coaches. And for the most part, there's a video that the Ohio Department of Health has available for them to read, in addition to some instructions which I've included here with this resolution as an attachment. House Bill 47 just puts on the additional requirement that the township provide these AEDs. Our issue was, how do we provide AEDs? The sports teams, that all their activities occur when there is no staffing here at the township, because our day typically is during the daytime, and even though 24/7 for road maintenance, predominantly during bad weather events, that's an as-needed basis. Our personnel are not going down to supervise athletic activities. So what we've come up with to minimize damage or vandalism or theft is that we intend on putting some storage containers with adjustable combination locks, so we can set the codes and inform the coaches and the leagues what those codes are, which we will change at a time that they will agree to in the lease agreement. So it may seem odd, like, well, geez, you're locking up these AEDs. That's not the intention. Well, we can't leave an AED unattended out in a public park. It will disappear, and they are expensive, or damage will occur, where then when you need an AED, it won't function the way you intend. So what we intend to do is adjust the lease agreements that the coaches will know the combination to obtain the AED. They know when their schedule is for organized, it includes practices and competitive games, that they will go to the lockbox, unlock the AED, and have it with their person and their team, so that there's one within the area where the activity is occurring. When they're done, they will return it to the lockbox and sign it back in. So that is what the plan is right now. We also do show some cost sharing here. This cost sharing could change a little bit, because originally the league president of softball, we were under the impression they were going to turn even softball over to the Amherst Athletic Association. But now it appears they want softball separate, so we may have 4 different park lease agreements, and obviously we do have a separate official-size softball field versus baseball field. But what we did is we assumed that the AEDs, we put them at an estimated life of 5 years, and the storage equipment as far as a 10-year life. And with that, with 3 teams over 5 years and sharing half the cost of our total cost, which will run around $6,000. So we said, let's go with $3,000 across 3 teams over 5 years, which is $200 per team. I can tell you right now, though, I've got that written in section 2. Now, if there's 4, it will actually come down to be $150 per team with the sharing. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. you can either, as it's written now, and we can adjust this here, if you want to make it where it's $150 to $200 per team, or if you want to say it's no cost and the township absorbs all the costs. Keep in mind, the AEDs are only required for the organized athletic events. If you want a higher amount, but this is just trying to do something reasonable, realize we can always write into the lease agreement where we can reduce this if we're able to obtain another AED and peripheral equipment by grant funds.
I think 150 would be good.
Okay. I'm going to change this to 150. David?
I think something there, Neil, so I'm
150?
okay with 150.
Okay.
I'm okay with 150.
Okay. Yeah, just to put this in context, it takes us about 10 man-hours to cut the grass. So
That's why I'm saying
yeah,
150.
ignoring benefits, we cut that grass more frequently than once a week. That's over $360 every time we cut the grass. That's just cutting grass. That's not picking up trash, emptying trash. That's not the weed management that's done. So I just want people to understand the cost. Now, the athletic teams take care of the fields prep, the striping, and everything there. So, okay.
Where is that 150 now?
In section 2. It's also in one of the whereases there, David.
150 annually?
Yes. Yeah, and essentially you're giving Linda the authority here to readjust those lease agreements, which will be run by the prosecutor. But we've got to be getting this done quickly. As far as the law requires that you have a certain number of trained staff, and the information that we've received after review by the prosecutor's office and our risk manager, and also Kyle Brooks from the OTA, is that we can specify the fire department personnel we have as the trained staff. And so that will also be mentioned in the lease agreement. Okay? So is there any other discussion?
No?
The actual AED is a covered expense for the Moore grant.
It is, yes.
So as soon as Linda gets me the quote, I have not filled out a grant for 2025 yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's because to keep things the same, she's recommending the same AED that we currently have, which is the
I'm sorry, I didn't
sole-
see it. I can use this.
Yeah, it's, right now, if you look at the list price for a single AED is $2,021, but because we've got that, there is a discount here, but it's if we order all these items. Some of those, because I already told her that box, the AED box that's designed, we aren't getting that one, Chris, which is $535 each, because that one doesn't have the lockable lasp and it would require us to modify it. So we're going to order something different here. And there will be one of them right here at the Township Hall, but it'll be outside and lockable, so that'll cover the athletic fields across the street. And then there'll be one down in the park, and we'll work with Kevin as far as location, but right now we're looking at putting it right by the same storage building that the athletic teams use today. There's a storage for soccer, there's a storage for baseball. We're just going to have another storage there that'll be with the AEDs. Okay? But you'll use up every penny of that Moore grant.
I'm just letting her know that I'm going to fill that out, and
Okay.
I can use this sheet.
Yep. Okay, then I guess roll call then, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And the number?
Is 51925.
5/19/27,
25.
25.
Wish it was 27.
5/19/25.
5/19.
Yeah, we're going right along with it.
Okay, our next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, June 10th. We won't have any work session scheduled between now and then. Keep in mind, on June 10th, there'll also be the public hearing on the modification of the settlement agreement. Any other audience concerns? Okay, I do have a need for an executive session.
What about your other resolution here?
We took care of this. That was a public hearing. Yeah, it should be in your packet. We can
Took
get
care
that,
of it?
yeah, we can get that cleared up later, Danny. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session for Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G3 for conferring with the information from our attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action, and Revised Code Section 121.22G8 to consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, and financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, or to negotiations with political subdivisions respecting a request for economic development assistance on the provisions of Revised Code Section 715, which are the JED statutes, and 5709.77, which are the TIF statutes, regarding the operation of nursing home within a planned development district. That'll be my motion.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we return from executive session to the regular meeting at 9:12 p.m.
Second?
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other business?
No?
Nope, did you mention the next meeting?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, we're all done with that.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.